The Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 4 injury report is out, and there is some good news and some not so great news. Shout out to Sleeper, by the way. More on them a little bit later on in this video. So, here is the injury report per Greg Allman of Fox Sports, per the Tampa Bay Buccaneers themselves. Let's go ahead and get started. Mike Evans, no participation Wednesday or Thursday with a hamstring injury. We all know he injured his hamstring in the Bucs Week 3 win versus the New York Jets. There's been some speculation as to how long he's going to be out. Some people are saying 2 to 3 weeks. Some people are saying 3 to 4 weeks. I'm taking it as 2 to 4 weeks. I'm taking both and smashing them together and saying, hey, 2 to 4 weeks might be that recovery time there for Mike Evans. He's not really expected to play in this upcoming game against the Eagles. Now, Chris Godwin was full go on Wednesday, not participated on Thursday. Some people are going to throw up their hands and say, what the heck's going on? Is Godwin not going to play? But apparently, according to reports and things along those lines, this was intentional, as they are basically slowly ramping Godwin up more and more, getting him to possibly be ready to play in Week 4 versus the Eagles. Now, this one is interesting to note here. Logan Hall, no participation Wednesday or Thursday due to a groin injury. He apparently sustained this groin injury in that game versus the New York Jets, which is just another hit to the defensive line here of the Buccaneers. They've already lost Kalijah Kancey for the season. Now you have the possibility of Logan Hall not being available as well. If Logan Hall cannot go, you do have Elijah Simmons, who was brought in from the Arizona Cardinals practice squad. You did promote CJ Brewer to the active roster, I should say, from the practice squad. And of course, you always have Elijah Roberts there, who would very likely be that first guy to get Logan Hall's reps if he could not go. So you've got Elijah Simmons, you've got Elijah Roberts, and you have also got CJ Brewer as guys who could step up in the absence of Hall. Another interesting name to make a note of here is Christian Izien. Before we dive deeper into that, though, I do want to say shout out to Sleeper, the proud sponsor of this channel. Guys, if you do use the code MrBucs, you will get a $100 deposit match up to $100. Again, that is whenever you use the code MrBucs. Guys, download the #1 sports app today and enjoy football the way it was meant to be. That is together. Now, back to Christian Izien here. He's had a couple of injuries so far this year. He had an oblique injury, and now he's got a quad injury that has had him not participating in practice both on Wednesday and on Thursday. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? Probably not, but in the absence of Izien, of course, you do have Tyke Smith, who is your starter there. Kayvon Merriweather is going to be there. Rashad Wisdom is going to be another backup safety in that mix as well. Charlie Heck was limited Wednesday and Thursday with a knee injury. Now, he was originally slated to be this team's starting right tackle. He was last week against the New York Jets, and also in week number 2 when Luke Goedeke left with his foot injury. And Goedeke's on the injured reserve right now. He's going to be out for at least the next 3 games, so Goedeke cannot step in. I did see Dan Graziano of ESPN kind of theorize that, hey, maybe you could have Graham Barton move over from left tackle to right tackle if there is a scenario where Tristan Wirfs comes back. So that is an interesting thing to make a note of there. Real quick, I do want to mention also Mike Jordan, the Bucs' usual starting left guard, is still not practicing with a knee injury. Now, you don't have to report practice squad player injuries, so Mike Jordan is not on this injury report for that reason, but according to all the reports and everything, he has not been practicing Wednesday or Thursday either. So you may very well be without your starting left guard and Charlie Heck, your starting right tackle, both of which are usually backups who have been thrust into starting roles. We all know this, right? Baker Mayfield, right bicep, was limited Wednesday and Thursday. It seems like nobody's necessarily worried about it. I'm not worried about it. He does have a sleeve on his right bicep. If you guys remember in the Jets game, he was kind of flexing his hand a little bit, so I don't know if there was something muscle-wise going on there, but he's got a sleeve. Sleeved up Baker Mayfield is a dangerous guy in my opinion, and he should be fine. Not worried about Baker Mayfield. Levante David was limited in Wednesday's practice, but full go in Thursday with a knee injury. We saw him sustain that knee injury in that Week 3 game versus the New York Jets, but he was able to return to that game and finish up the game as well. Finally, Tristan Wirfs, this is the big one. Limited on Wednesday, full go on Thursday. It really does seem like Wirfs is going to be playing in this upcoming game versus the Eagles. And whenever we look at the offensive line and the depth chart, the lineup without Wirfs last week was Graham Barton at left tackle. At left guard, you had Elijah Klein. At center, you had Ben Bredesen. At right guard, you had Luke Haggard, who was promoted from the practice squad. And then at right tackle, you had Charlie Heck. Let's assume Mike Jordan cannot go and Charlie Heck can probably go, but, still might not, be playing full on, and then Tristan Wirfs comes back, okay? If Wirfs does come back, Mike Jordan is still not available. You could very well have an offensive line of Tristan Wirfs at left tackle, probably Elijah Klein at left guard, Ben Bredesen at center. Right guard could be Luke Haggard, but with a week and a half's worth of practice, could it very well be Dan Feeney at right guard? Who knows? And then Graham Barton at right tackle. That could be the offensive line there. Maybe. That's just kind of something I'm throwing out there. So, Tristan Wirfs at left tackle, Elijah Klein at left guard, Ben Bredesen at center, maybe Dan Feeney at right guard, and then maybe Graham Barton at right tackle per that Dan Graziano blurb that he had on ESPN. Just something to pay attention to. But that's it. That is it for the Buccaneers injury report. Now for the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about the Nolan Smith thing, which everybody was like, James, clickbait, what are you doing? Nolan Smith was in the thumbnail, so I don't know. I didn't think it was clickbait. Genuinely, I did not think it was clickbait. Nolan Smith was in the thumbnail, so I don't know. And even in the title of the video, it was like, hey, it's the Buccaneers' opponent's player who is out, so not clickbait. Hashtag not clickbait. But you take a look at this, and there's a lot of starters for the Eagles on this injury report. Zach Bond dealing with a knee injury. No participation Wednesday, limited Thursday. He's one of their starting inside linebackers. Jahad Campbell, another starting on inside linebacker, somebody I wanted on the Bucs. No participation on Wednesday, limited on Thursday with a triceps injury. We talked about Nolan Smith being placed on the IR. Adoree Jackson, one of their starting corners. No participation Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Tanner McKee, backup quarterback, limited Wednesday, Thursday, right thumb. That sounds painful. Lane Johnson, stinger, was limited Wednesday, but full go Thursday. And then Will Shipley, their backup running back with an oblique injury, full go Wednesday and Thursday. So the Eagles definitely have some injuries of their own. I would argue, in terms of guys that are like more banged up, in the more important guys banged up. The Bucs obviously are the more banged up football team in my opinion. But the Eagles still have some players of their own that are either going to be limited or possibly not even playing this upcoming week. Nolan Smith being that big one we talked about in a separate video. So that's it, guys. That is it for the injury report. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about the players that are on the Bucs injury report. Which ones are you worried about? Which ones are you confident about playing? Let me know. I'd love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.